Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Straight Up with Steph. Today is part 2 of my conversation with Melia from Hygiene Edge, and we are talking about new grads. We learn a lot when we're in school, that's for sure, but we learn a lot in those first few years of dental hygiene practice. And honestly, I'm 16 years in practice and I'm still learning, but especially in those first few years. Malia gives us her top 5 tips for new grads and also some mistakes that maybe she's seeing new grads make, maybe mistakes that her and I have made as new grads. I know looking back, there are a few things that I would have changed or would have thought about a little bit differently back then, knowing what I know now. But hindsight's 2020, right? I graduated hygiene school in 2008, so it's been quite a while. But I remember in that first year, especially, I learned so much as far as different docs and their mentalities, learning a bunch of new systems at different offices. The time management was probably my biggest hurdle because I went from having 4 hours per patient to an hour per patient, which looking back, I don't even know how I did it. But that's the thing. It's like things are hard. You don't think you're going to get through it, and you pretty much always do. And it always ends up okay. So just keep that in mind if you're a new grad and you're struggling with whatever right now. Malia from Hygiene Edge is just a wealth of information. If you don't already follow Hygiene Edge, please do that. They have all kinds of videos for students, new grads, seasoned clinicians like me, all of it. Super valuable educational videos. And I hope you enjoy today's conversation with Malia. Hey, it's Steph, and welcome to the Straight Up with Steph podcast, where we have real discussions around health and life and just trying to be better at both. Hello, Malia, again. Thank you so much for joining today.
Hi, hey, I'm so excited to talk to you about being a new dental hygiene grad.
Oh my gosh. I feel honestly, this probably is just going to be advice for everyone because I know that I'm going to learn things and I'm certainly not new. But last time we talked about students. So if you are listening and you didn't hear or watch that episode, please check that out. If you're a student or an instructor, a lot of good information there. But today for new grads, like in school, you obviously learn everything, you need to know to pass boards, but then when you get out into the real world, you are learning so much more too. I feel like I learned so much in my first year out of practice. So, what surprised you when you first started working after school?
Yeah, it's like a lot, right? You come out of school and you're like, I feel so great. I passed my boards. I did great on my clinical, let's say, or whatever. And you won an award. I never did, but maybe, like you're feeling real good. And then you get into private practice and you're like, wait a minute. This is a whole new world that nobody talked about. I feel like I'm drinking out of a fire hose. Like there's so many people and all the things coming. So it's a lot, but it's actually kind of fun too because you get to see a different side of dentistry. Sometimes you get to see like the business side a little bit. Sometimes you get to work on different patients that you never saw in hygiene school, different types of patients. And you learn a lot really, really fast, but it's good. It's great. Your brain it grows a lot in that first couple years. I mean, I still see patients regularly that I've never seen this before, or
Yeah.
they bring up something new, or they're nervous in a different way. And I'm like, wait, what? I feel like I should have seen everything by now, but it's not true. We work with humans and they're all different and so unique. So the first year is a lot, but it is kind of fun because it's going to set you up for a whole lifetime, a whole career lifetime of learning, which is actually what makes hygiene so fun.
Yeah. I remember my first job, and probably a lot of people have experienced this too, but the thing that hit me in the face quickest was the time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like when in school, I think we were allowed like 4 hours or something for an appointment. And I was getting pretty quick at the end, but I wasn't 40-minute quick.
Yeah.
So when first
Yeah.
had to do that, like that was a huge learning curve for me.
Oh yeah, it's a lot all at once. I'm hopeful that offices like take that to account with a new grad and be like, you can't expect a brand new grad to be the same as your 15-year alumni. Like it's different because it's interesting too. Even if you switch offices, I don't know if you've ever done that. Like you've worked at an office for a number of years and you switch, you're slower because you're having to learn like systems and
Oh,
processes
yeah.
and like how to use the machines and how to like, I don't know, just as soon as you start to get in the flow and the rhythm of the space, that really can help your time. So give yourself lots of grace as you go into a new space and be like, I don't know, even just like I was thinking about the other day, I'm like, just the time it takes to like hang up the sensor and like grab the nomad, just like little things like that. When you're first learning it and you're first trying to get the flow, it takes a lot longer than when you've been somewhere for a while. And you don't even have to think about it anymore. So give yourself lots of grace with the first little bit. You'll definitely get the systems down. I'm hopeful that the office will be supportive of you and kind of help you through this transition phase. But just like in hygiene school, I feel like even those 2 years where you learn from like you walk into the door not knowing like what the mesial is to stepping out and you pass like a really difficult board exam, you learn a lot in a short amount of time. Clinical
Yeah.
practice is similar. You're going to walk in, feel in all the feels, and then you're totally going to pick up on things quickly.
Do you think this? I don't know if this is gonna, because I know you're gonna give us some tips here in a minute, but do you think it's important if a new grad is looking for a job to make sure that the office is like, I don't know, new grad friendly, or they've like worked with new grads before? Do you think that's a conversation worth having?
Yeah, I think it is. I think just having that open conversation beforehand. I mean, they'll know you're a new grad from your resume, I would think, but
Yeah. They'll
just
look it
like, yeah,
up.
yeah. But knowing just like, yeah, having that conversation of being like, is there something different? Have you worked with new grads before? You could even ask, and like, if there's other hygienists on the team, how long they've worked there for. Sometimes that's kind of a nice insight if people leave really quickly or if people have been there forever, and you can feel out if they're going to be supportive of someone new. Yeah, I think it's super helpful because I don't want you to just, my biggest fear, especially with new grads, is just going into an office, they're not supportive, and you just hate it so
Yeah.
quickly. It's just such a bummer when that happens. So I don't want that to happen to you. So yeah, I wouldn't be shy. I'd be like, obviously you can ask it kindly, just be like, have you worked with a new grad before? Or what's your protocol for time? Or is there a way to adjust time a little bit at the beginning? Or do you have support system? Is there an assistant that I can pull regularly just to kind of help me with my charting or finding things or whatever? Just knowing that behind the scenes is really helpful to make your day smoother.
Yeah, and I want to say too, because I've had some people reach out to me and be like, I'm scared to tell people that I'm a new grad. Like, I feel like they're not going to want to hire me. I just want to say there's plenty of offices out there that are specifically looking for new grads. They want to bring in someone who doesn't maybe have some bad habits, like maybe I do. I've been practicing for like 16 years. I'm sure I've picked
Yeah.
them up, and they want to foster them. And I don't want to say mold them, but you know what I mean? Kind of
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
I don't know, help them grow. But this,
Yeah.
like this one office that I fill in for, she wants new grads and she has a hygiene assistant. That new grad will get the hygiene assistant. They're allowed a bit extra time. Like a lot of training goes into that. So just because you're a new grad doesn't mean like no one's going to want you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, as a new grad too, like you're kind of up on the latest a lot of times, right? Like
Yeah.
you're learning what's new and what's working and what's not, and you're learning lots of research-based things. Again, if I've we've been out for a while, if we haven't been keeping up on it, it's like, are we doing still the same old techniques maybe, or not introducing new things? So yeah, a lot of people really love someone that's into this, what's new, what's out there, into technology, into like really learning the business side, the aspects of the business. Every office's runs a little bit different, not only from a clinical side, but from a business side too. So they're like, oh, we really would love a new grad that's okay with implementing these technologies because they learn them at school or X, Y, and Z. So yeah, I think there's a benefit either way. I mean, I've had offices say to me, I am too qualified because I've been working too long, right? So it's just, it depends on the office you work for and if you guys mesh and what their value is. And if they don't value as a new grad, then it's okay. There's somewhere else that will.
Oh yeah, plenty of fish in the sea, especially right now.
Yeah.
I know last time we talked about like your top 5 tips for students, and I'd like to do that same thing for new grads. So what are your tips?
Yeah, I don't even know if I said five last time, but a couple are like I mentioned last time, it's just as soon as you graduate and you walk out of that clinic door with your purple tassel on and you turn it over, it's not the time to stop learning. You want to keep learning from day one because, again, there's things changing so rapidly, especially in the technology space. Things are really changing. And also, like hygiene school, they teach you a lot of amazing things, but it might not be the latest and the greatest. Because, again, we have to teach off textbooks, which sometimes
Mhm.
lag a little bit because they take years to print. Or, like, depending on your university, sometimes there's like lots of hoops to jump to change things. So, they usually teach you amazing, really great things. It's usually pretty like top of cusp, but it might not be top of cusp for everything. So day one, keep an open mindset for learning. It's going to make your practice of dental hygiene so much better. You're going to feel like more empowered and have more fun as a clinical hygienist, being like, I'm going to try this new skill or try this new product, or you won't get in like this rut of the same old. So keep that in mind. Keep a sense of learning forever through your whole career, honestly. I would also really recommend staying involved with like your local study club or component or your national association from day one as well. I know it's really hard as a new grad to like invest in something like that because you just came out of all these years of schooling and you probably have student loans and things like that. And now you're finally making your paycheck. But investing in that is huge because you're going to make connections, again, that you might not know where are going to lead to. You're going to meet people from your area or maybe from over the country that will support you and help you and love you. And really, no one really understands dental hygiene other than a dental hygienist, or no one understands dentistry unless you're a dentist. And even like dentist to hygienist, sometimes it's hard to comprehend like what you went through in school. But if you connect with other hygienists, it's so fun to just like relate and feel out, and they can give you advice and vice versa. Just have that community of hygiene behind the scenes is so helpful and fun. And you can definitely do that through some kind of like national association or study club or something in your area. And again, I think from day one is really helpful. Me as a new grad, I graduated and I worked actually in Canada for a while, and I came back to America and I was like, I don't know anyone here anymore. And like, what am I going to do? I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to join the ADHA and I'm going to go to my local component and I'll hopefully meet some people to like help me find a job. And like the market was a little bit different back then, or just like connect and see what offices are good and maybe not so great and things like that. And just from meeting those, even like from those baby little connections, like in my little area, it was like, I have great friends that I still, we like nanny shared, honestly, we with our kids. And so it's just kind of like, you never know what those connections will bring. So I would recommend always just being a member of some kind of a professional association. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to connect a lot, and it will help you so much. And hopefully you can help other people too in that same regard. You can help support others as well as they graduate or they have changes in their career, and you can help be a support to another. I think really focusing on your ergonomics, tie back to you, is just ergonomics is key from day one as well, especially as a brand new grad. Sometimes when we're hurrying and rushing and we're like getting through our days, sometimes we're putting the operatory in the back room that's like maybe not the most ergonomic. So if you can really focus on your body from day one, keep working out, that's going to help you last a lot longer. But maybe when you were in school, did they tell you like the burnout was like 7 years for hygiene? Like people retired in 7 years.
They did mention some, I don't know if it was 7 years, maybe 7, 10, I don't know, but they did touch on it. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like they talked about it a little bit, but not a ton. But now I feel like it's less than 7 years, honestly.
I think so.
People, are done because they hurt. But most of the time it's because they hurt. And that is the worst. The last thing I want you to do is hurt at work, and then it hurts your personal life, your fun life. Not saying hygiene isn't fun, but just like your family life or whatever. You don't want to hurt all the time. So focus on your body. Number one, that's the most important tool in your operatory is you. So keep focusing on that even as a brand new grad. You don't want to wait 20 years and you're already hurting. It's hard to heal after you're hurting. And you know that. I'm talking to you're the Bible of this.
I appreciate you saying that, because it is, if I went back in time, I would have spent so much more time focusing on my ergonomics and like strengthening and making sure I had the good equipment from day one instead of waiting like 10 years and then figuring it out. Because you're right. It's so hard to like rewind the clock once you start developing pain and injury.
Yeah. And then you're going back the next day and doing it, re-injuring yourself every day.
Yeah. It sucks.
It sucks. It's the worst. And it's so sad that that's what happens with hygiene, because there's so many amazing clinicians that just, they're like, I can't do it anymore. It hurts too bad. So don't be like us.
Don't.
Take our advice. I think just focus on ergonomics is huge. Keep networking, reach out to like your friends, reach out to your old instructors. I think that's a great way to network and kind of stay connected with them, especially if you're interested in doing something outside of hygiene. And then keeping an open mind from day one of graduation, like we kind of talked about. Again, the burnout rate for hygiene is really high because of pain or because of like a lot of repetitive motions. We do a lot of the same thing every single day, which is really hard mentally. So keep an open mind that clinical hygiene is probably not going to be your end goal, which I hate saying because clinical hygiene is so important. We need great clinicians seeing patients. We need people helping like with their periodontal disease and their overall health and things like that, because it is so connected. However, I do want you to keep an open mind that this working in the same clinic is probably not going to be your end goal just because of history. So keep networking, maybe like even take a couple of classes at your community college, even though you don't even though you don't want out of clinical hygiene yet, just keep those open minds of like, hey, what else could I be doing? Or how could I look at different ways to support myself? Because the last thing I want to do is a new grad to be working 5 years and just hit a wall and just be like, but there's nothing else I can do, or I feel very stuck, because that makes a clinician not love their day and hope. And probably, I'm speaking for myself, when I'm feeling like this is the worst, I'm not being a great clinician at that point. I'm like
Yeah.
doing things like, oh my gosh, here they come again, you know? So, and again, this probably isn't everyone, but I'm speaking for my own self. But just keeping, again, those open minds, figuring out what else is out there, keep having your LinkedIn profile active, because that's a great way to connect with people outside of clinical dentistry. And, just, I mean, you don't have to focus on it, but just have it all kind of in the back of the mind. Like, hey, like, I'm going to post on LinkedIn today, or I'm going to see what's happening there. You never know.
So I know we touched on this a bit in the last episode, but for those who didn't listen to that one, what are just some examples of things that you've seen hygienists doing outside of the operatory?
Oh, like working wise, like,
Yeah.
yeah, like you could definitely work. It's kind of interesting because I feel like too, it's a great time for hygiene to focus on this, because number one, kind of a lot of people are looking for something else. But number two is like companies and things are really seeing the value of dental hygienists and the soft skills we have every single day, and the things we deal with and work with, and we work under stress, and we work under timelines, and we work, with people every day. So really, companies are seeing the benefit of what a hygienist does, and it's kind of fascinating. So I've seen hygienists break into like sales, but also like the education sales portion of it. So like giving lunch and learns, or like working at booths and conventions, or so it's kind of like a sales marketing combo. We've seen hygienists, of course, education is huge, and being teachers, but not only in like a clinical, like being a clinical instructor or like a lecturer, but you could be an adjunct for like bachelor completion programs. At ADHA, they were actually talking about starting some PhD programs for dental hygiene. And then, so the education space is really going to grow and change too, as our world is changing. And a lot of people are going back to school. So there's going to need more teachers. I've seen hygienists start businesses, again, just because of their drive and their love of working and their love of people and their goal setting skills and things like that. They've started their own businesses, both outside and inside of dentistry. I mean, of course, lecturing. I've had some hygienist friends start their own study clubs in their area, and that's become a business where they can really like pull from speakers and host these community events for hygienists, and dentistry, not just hygienists, but dentistry as a whole, which I think is so fun to pull in all aspects, because we're such a team sport in dentistry. Working online, working with there's so many tech companies now. Lots of hygienists are implementing themselves in tech as either customer support or education or product development or branding, or there's just lots of different aspects you can kind of see yourself inserted and kind of see what you like love. If you don't love teaching, that's okay. There's other things you can do other than teaching.
Yeah, there's so many, and I didn't know about all of the different things that are available out there until I like started networking and like learning about it all. I was like, "Oh my God, like where have I been the last, 10 years?" But I recommend to people too, like even if they're a full-time clinician right now, and like you said, you don't have to focus on getting out of the op, but a lot of us have certain products that we really love, and the rep is coming in regularly. Maybe, become friends with the rep or start
Yeah.
asking them questions about their job or products that you really love. It's really easy to work with companies or work for companies that are selling something that you truly believe in, and so that could be something that you do on the side a little bit later.
Yeah, and just having an open mind. Be like, hey, this might be fun to explore. And then if you explore it and you don't love it, that's okay. Like you tried it
Yeah.
and it could be something else. So I think that's interesting with dentistry, because most careers now are not linear, right? Like if you get your
Mm-mm.
degree in whatever, you can see yourself in lots of different companies, little different aspects. Maybe you do like similar things. Let's say like marketing, you do similar things, but you could do product, you know what I mean? You can jump around a little bit. Even nursing, like it's not just like a one linear, but I think sometimes in dentistry, we kind of focus like, this is my linear path. I went to school, now I'm a clinical hygienist, and like that's it. But it's not like that anymore. This world is kind of interesting how connected it is and how we can fit ourselves in different areas. And I'm hopeful as we see changes in dentistry, we're going to see that grow. We'll have hygienists working in other aspects, other clinical aspects, working under different maybe providers, being a provider themselves, like a provider themselves, and just like fitting themselves more into the healthcare fields. I'm really hopeful for that for the next little bit, because we need it. We need hygienists in all areas of healthcare.
Yeah, I agree. I'm hoping that, the current situation with everything that's going on, I know it's kind of scary, but I also am really hoping it's just going to be the catalyst for change that we've needed for a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what are some do you see some mistakes that new grads are making?
I think well, I don't want to be negative, but like again, you come out of school and again, I'm speaking from my own experience. I thought I knew
Mhm.
everything. I definitely did not know everything. There was so much to learn. So just keeping an open mind and being like, oh yeah, like this is something I could learn or improve on or whatever, instead of just thinking like, oh, I got this in the bag. I'll be totally fine. So yeah, learn from each other, learn from your other hygienists, and then also keep an open mind from them. Sometimes if you work with a hygienist that's been a hygienist for 6 years and maybe they're on these Facebook groups and they're like, I am so tired of hygiene and they have a negative aspect. I don't want you to pull from their energy as well. So
Yeah.
keep an open mind on all aspects, what you don't know, what you do know, what you hear from other people, and kind of take everything with a little bit of grain of salt. I think that's really helpful. I makes me so sad when a new grad comes out. They're really excited and then it gets really negative quickly just because of the environment they're in. So,
Yeah, it's interesting too. Like, there's some groups that I know that they're there for a reason, and I know that it's a support group for people going through this, but like burnout groups. And then if you're a new grad and you join a burnout group, you just consider the tone of the group, like, is that the energy that you want? You know what I mean? Like,
no,
just kind of
totally.
consider the room you're in at all times.
Yeah. And like in hygiene school, you're going to feed off each other. And like once you start to kind of focus on one area, then you get really focused on it and it gets really negative. You kind of go down through a rabbit hole. I know I have to check myself because in like my state, we're limited to what we can do as hygienists. And a lot of times, like the dental associations, like hygienists should not be able to do X, Y, and Z. We need
Hmm.
to like, and so then for me to go down that rabbit hole, I get very negative very quickly. And I'm like, well, I got to take a step back, maybe take a breather, get off these emails and kind of get my brain in a different setting before I start getting really really spiraling out of control. So that's a big one for new grads. I think we can spiral real fast.
Yeah.
I also think just not asking for help and support is huge. When I'm like, as a new grad, and also like if you're not a new grad, let's say you are a hygienist that's been working in the field and you have a new grad, totally be open to helping them. Like tell them that, be like, ask me questions. I want to be a support. And then as a new grad, totally ask questions. I don't want you to sit in your room and feel overwhelmed and be like, am I doing this right? Or what's happening? Like, should I be telling my patient this? Like, totally ask your coworkers and be like, should I be doing this? Should I not? What's our policies? What's our procedures? So you're all on the same page instead of just feeling overwhelmed and anxious, hoping you're doing things right. So don't be shy to ask questions. We know you're a new grad. We want to help and support you. We want what's best for you. We want what's best for the patients too. So let's help each other.
Yeah, yeah. And I know me as a more seasoned clinician, I learn from new grads maybe as much or more as they learn from me because
Oh, for
they're
sure.
like you've already mentioned, they're up on the latest and greatest, or they just simply remind me what it's like to be new.
Yeah.
And maybe not have everything nailed down yet or struggle with time management or whatever it is. And I'm just like, oh man, yeah, I was there not too long ago. I remember that.
Yeah, like AAP classifications, if that's your thing that's like kind of hard. They know it. They learned it. They were tested on boards. Like
Yeah.
you can totally help each other with that.
Yeah. I think I was just trying to think like what it was like for me as a new grad and something that I struggled with when I was looking for offices because I went through quite a few offices before I found one that I was like, okay, this fits. But they would, I would have my certain way that I was trained or my certain beliefs with like what I will and won't do for patients as far as scaling and root planing or whatever. And then the office would try to go against that or change how I do things. And it's like it's very easy as a new grad to second guess yourself,
Mm.
but I think it's important to just think about what is important to you. What will you do and won't you do and stay true to that and don't ignore red flags either from an office that might not be the best fit for you. I've done that
Yeah.
too and it never ends
Oh,
well.
oh, for sure. And then you go home and you're like, oh my gosh, what just happened today? And you're
Yeah.
thinking about it. You can't sleep. Oh, yeah, totally happens. And that you're not alone. If that happens to you, you're not alone. I can remember specific times in my career where people are like, you need to do this SRP in 30 minutes. And I feel
Yep.
overwhelmed, but I agree. And then I'm like, oh my gosh. So you're not alone. It happens to everyone, unfortunately. It's a learning process. But like exactly what you said, like really kind of like delve deep into what's important to you, what you can really stand your ground on. And then again, even if like in your interviews, which is kind of nice to like you're in this process because it's like, what do you do in this situation? Am I required to see a new patient in 30 minutes at the end of the day? Or you can kind of talk through those scenarios and see what they do. It's not always what they say in the interview is not always what happens sometimes. I'm not going to lie, but it is kind of have that frank conversation at the start is helpful for you as a clinician to kind of feel out what the space is like.
Yeah, and I think too, like again, this isn't easy as a new grad, but setting boundaries too. I think that's something I've learned as I've gotten older. I've gotten a lot better at that. But, will you work through your lunch or not? Will you come in for meetings that are unpaid? Will you do those SRPs in 30 minutes? Will you anesthetize the full mouth at one time for a patient, like that kind of stuff, and just like set boundaries and then make sure that you stick to them too.
Yeah, and again, it's a learning process. So if you do it
Yeah.
and you go through that and you leave the office that day thinking all the things and feeling all the feels, no, you're not alone. And that has actually happened to me, not even as a new grad, like even years into
Yeah.
my career, they'll be like, we need this right now. And I'm like, wait, what should I do ethically? Like, what's the push and pull? How should I handle this situation? So it unfortunately, that's just life sometimes. We gotta get put in these weird situations. So like you said, just reflecting on what's important and what your boundaries are, I think is important, especially as a new grad, but at any point in your career.
I know. Yeah. And it is kind of like a lifelong thing because I feel like I'm strong in my boundaries now, but then I'll like not be and then I kick
Right.
myself. So it's a constant thing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So looking back, what are some things that you wish you would have known back then that you know now?
As a new grad, I think just like maybe having like some sort of mentor is really nice.
Hmm.
Um, just or some sign of connection. Again, maybe you meet them in your local component, or like my dad was a dentist. He was a great mentor, but he was a dentist. Like, he wasn't a hygienist, and so he didn't have that view of what hygiene is. So having a hygienist that you can ask questions to, I think is really helpful. Someone that you can bounce ideas off of, or if you are feeling the sting of burnout, maybe they can empathize or, have solutions even, or just someone like to listen to you, I think is helpful. Even again, like my dad didn't really know. I mean, my husband is great, but he doesn't know what's happening in my operatory all
Yeah.
day. So it is nice to have someone that fully understands pretty much most, if not all aspects of what you go through every hour. So because we do a lot every single hour. I think as a new grad, like you said, too, setting some boundaries. I remember just being put in situations where I was like, I don't feel comfortable with this, or I don't feel comfortable seeing this patient right now, and just really feeling really like guilty after the fact, but really
Yeah.
knowing that other people have gone through it and learning from that situation has been great. So it's good. Like I don't know if I would change a lot because I feel like I've learned from those experiences, but having someone to bounce off of is great. I think just like even knowing little things as a new grad, like if you accidentally have a needle stick injury, like know that your office probably has a protocol with that. Like don't feel like you have to hide that. I know that I remember that happened to me as a new grad. I was so embarrassed that I cut myself with an instrument and I didn't say anything. And then I like couldn't stop thinking about it for weeks,
Yeah.
days after. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to me? And just know if that happens to you, or if anything kind of weird happens to you, they've probably gone through it before, honestly. And so it's not weird. Totally bring it up. You can talk about it. They probably have a protocol. If not, they should. So talking about it will be helpful. And then you will be able to sleep a little bit better at night. Don't be like me.
Yeah, no, that's good. I know that just something similar happened to me toward at the beginning, like in my early days. Yeah, and it's a scary thing, but definitely don't hold that in because you're gonna freak out about it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, for sure.
Um, so considering the current climate or whatever in dentistry with everything that's going on right now, all of the changes, what advice do you have for new grads who might be kind of not excited about being in dentistry right now?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like it's a lot. It's a lot of feels, and it's weird, and you're probably hearing a lot of things from lots of different avenues, and maybe being in education too. Like or as a new, you've heard instructors say things, and a lot of times instructors are really involved, so they know more than maybe other people. But just know it's okay. Like I think this first little bit might be weird. I'm really hopeful that we're gonna push through, and it'll be a positive change for hygiene. Again, still be active in like your professional organizations. They're the one that's keeping the eyes and ears out for hygiene. Even though it does cost money, it's I mean, I can speak for our state, like our professional association, the UDHA, all the funds go to a lobbyist. And that's what's kind of keeping the eyes and ears on like the laws that change what we do every single day. So I would always just recommend being a member or supporting that, the people that are supporting the profession, and really having the back of, sometimes when you're busy, that's the last thing you have time to do is like read all the bills or read all the laws that are coming
Hmm.
out when it comes to dentistry. And yeah, just again, connect with people that are positive. If conversations are turning real negative, maybe like don't follow those groups, or maybe, that might need to cut out from your life for a little bit until the winds of tide or the tide winds of change, whatever, change.
Yeah.
And we see some changes and growth, because I think there will be kind of some weird couple years, these next couple years, and there is going to be some change. But I think if we push through, we're supportive of our profession, it's going to come out positive.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I know I was in a very, I'm out of it now, but last year, actually, I was in a pretty negative mindset with everything that was going on. And so I understand if people are stuck there, but that doesn't do anything. It didn't do
Right.
anything for me. It was just like this, I don't know, depressive type state that I don't want to be in. But it's like, what can we do? Okay, so this is happening. And honestly, in my opinion, I do think that we are going to see more legislation allowing assistants to do, more hygiene
Yeah.
type duties. But okay, so that's happening. What can we do? Like, what can we do to elevate our profession? And just by elevating our profession does not mean that we have to start tearing other people down. That's another thing. It's like people think because you're pro hygienist means you're anti assistant or anti dentist. And it's like we all need to work together here and help our
Yeah.
patients and, practice dentistry together.
Right. If there's a divide, especially like in an office, it's not going to help. Like the team, it's not going to help our patients. The only people that are not going to win is, well, everyone actually, everyone's not going to win whenever there's a divide. So hopefully we can like work together, focus on the positive, really support each other, and like see the growth in all aspects of dentistry, not just hygiene, not just this dentistry too. Like as the hygienists change, it will support offices and it will support X, Y, and Z, and it'll support our communities as hygienists go into these different fields. Or maybe like if a hygienist works at like an oncology office and helps educate on the importance of like oral health with oral mucositis, and do like laser therapy to help with sores and things like that, it's only going to help our communities as a whole. So you can get real negative real fast. And I have been
Yeah.
there too. There's been many a nights where I'm laying in bed thinking, what have I gotten myself into? But as we see the changes, I'm hopeful that we as hygienists can step up and really prove ourselves as clinicians, as healthcare providers, and show like, hey, we can do this. We can do more. We're not just two scalars. We're so much more than that.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Something I want to go back to new grads, especially in the first like couple years out of school. I feel like technical skills, like you're still learning a lot. And I'm just
Mm-hmm. Oh
curious
yeah.
with all of the content that you create with Hygiene Edge. By the way, if you're listening and you aren't already following Hygiene
Mm-hmm.
Edge, please follow them. They have amazing videos. But what are some of the like, I don't know, top videos or top requested things that people need help with? Like, is it x-rays or scaling or injections?
Always injections. Injections
Okay.
are huge because it's kind of sometimes, it depends where you work, but some offices maybe you don't give injections that often. So it's
Hmm.
like if you're like, here's my injection for the month, and it's like, so that's kind of overwhelming. Also, sometimes too, it's interesting. Some offices have their hygienist use local, depending on your state, on all the patients, both restorative and hygiene. So going into this new field, it's like, wait, how do I numb these patients for restorative? We don't really talk about that a ton in hygiene school. We definitely focus on more the perio side. So those videos are always so important because it's always good to have a refresher, even just like the anatomy of where to put it, what type of local to use. I feel like anesthesia too, it's a procedure that a lot of patients do have anxiety about, which is
Yeah.
actually kind of funny. I don't know if you've noticed this or other people have noticed this, that actually I have patients like less worried about it because we do a lot of like Botox and fillers now. So like we're getting needles in our face way more. Anyway, maybe that's just my office, but I feel like
Oh,
people are less anxious now.
yeah, interesting. I never thought of it in that way, but it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. It's just more normal to now to
Yeah.
get a needle in your face when before you'd only get a needle in your face when you were getting dental work done. So anyway,
Hmm.
but a lot of people are like, it's not the best feeling. It's a kind of a weird experience. And if you're feeling their anxious energy and you're not feeling 100% confident, then that energy is going back to them. And it's just like a lot of feels in your operatory. So injections are always important. I think it's good to review your landmarks regularly, just so you feel confident in what you're doing. If you get thrown into like numb up for a crown prep or something, you can do it without feeling really nervous. And then radiology again is huge. It's so interesting, radiology. I say radiology is art. It's not a science. It's an art. It takes
Yeah.
practice. And as you change either systems, sensors, handheld unit to a different handheld unit, honestly, there's nuances for every system. I switched offices 18 months ago. I had an office ask me to come see their patients, which has been so fun. I love it so much there. But even when I look at my x-rays from when I first started there, I'm like, these things are no good. And I taught radiology, but it was like a new sensor and a new, you know what I mean? And so it's just kind of interesting as different technology and different things you're using, you might have to like relearn how to take an x-ray. So those are really important. Anything perio related is really helpful too, especially maybe if you don't see a lot of perio in your office and you're jumping into these patients that have perio and it's like, wait, what should I do? What should I not? And then anything new technology, new techniques, new products are always so fun. Personally, selfishly, I love trying out all the new ones and filming them, but it's always fun for other people to watch it too, because we can't always get to a convention. We can't always stay
Hmm.
up on the latest. So if we have a quick video to kind of like whet our palate and kind of see what out there is really great. So that's so fun for me clinically too, just to try out all the things and be like, yeah, I would totally do this. And then I implement it into my practice, or be like, I don't know, like this might work for this scenario, but it won't work for my practice. So it's been great. And that is one thing about like videos or Hygiene Edge or any kind of online person, is sometimes you kind of have to take what they say and like take it with like a grain of salt and be like, would this
Hmm.
actually work with my patient population? And use your clinical judgment, because we're not all the same. We're not seeing all the same people. We're not working in the same environments everywhere. So not everything works for everyone else. So, but it's always fun to see what other people are doing or like what is new out there.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything like, because I know you do a lot of demos, I guess, for like new products. Is there anything that you've tried lately that you're excited about?
I really have loved Perio DT and Hygienist, honestly, which
Mm-hmm.
I've never like, I don't, if you use like soft scale back in the day, like that never really worked that great. And it was like kind of gimmick. I don't know. That was my always experience. And it was probably presented to me that way, that this is a gimmick. So I would like, but Perio DT actually works amazing. So I use it all the time in my private practice. And that has been, I've been using it for more than a year now, but it just has really shaped my mindset on Perio and like my treatment sequence and things like that, because you place it before and you place it after. Sometimes
For
you don't have
people
to
who
numb
don't,
the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
no, it's okay. For people who don't know what that is, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's called desiccation therapy. So you
Okay.
put it underneath the gingiva. It's pretty much, it's an acid. Like it's super tastes awful. It's very acidy. I don't know how
Sounds
else to
about
describe
right.
it. Yeah. It tastes very, very bitter, and it's really, really gross that way. However, the benefits are really amazing, because what it does is it dehydrates the area. So it can either dehydrate calculus, or after scaling, if you have like little bits of calculus in the pocket or little bits of bacteria, kind of like a smear layer kind of gross down in that pocket, it will help dehydrate that and flush it out. So then your healing is a little bit better. It also
Mm.
changes the environment a little bit too. So then you don't get as much bacteria repopulating as fast or quickly in that area as well. So you place it before and after. You really have to isolate well, because it tastes so bad. I had a patient just a couple weeks ago where I was like, okay, here, I'm going to put the desiccation, and like put it on. And she tasted a little bit and she was like, nope. And she was done for the day. Like it was, and I felt
Oh,
so bad. And I was like, but it was like her first time at the dentist or the dental office in America. It was like a lot of feels. She hadn't been for
yeah.
years. It was like a lot of things going on, but she was very nervous. She was so cute. So that was her appointment for the day. She came back. We were able to finish her. She was so lovely. She's come back many times. Like, well, no, she came back for her reeval, but that was it. But she, so that's something to be aware of. You really have to isolate well. But that's
Okay.
one thing that I've really loved. I've really liked using lasers for oral mucositis or like sores and photomodulation. That's super helpful too. We've seen some
Mm.
great success with that. So those are my two. I don't know. There's lots of amazing things out there.
I know. And it just seems like I feel like I'm becoming a dinosaur because I don't practice at that much anymore. And there's these new things like dessicants I haven't tried. I haven't tried GBT yet. I just feel like there's all these things that are out there that I want to try. I just haven't. And I don't know. I feel like I'm falling behind a little bit.
Oh no, no, no. You have to, and that's another thing. Like when you go to a conference, I'm like, take one thing back with you. Like, don't feel
Yeah.
overwhelmed that you need to change your whole life and you're doing everything wrong. That's not true. It's just take like a couple little tidbits and apply them, and then maybe in a couple of months apply a couple more, and
Yeah.
totally fine. I think that is the one. Again, fun thing about dentistry is there's always something to learn, new to learn. There's always something new to try, and it makes it fun.
Yeah. I guess the one thing that I've tried the last couple of years, I mean, ergonomic loops,
Mm,
they're a game changer, but also voice activated charting. I've used a few different systems and I feel like, because that's such a pain point, especially in hygiene, is charting by yourself and all the twisting and like, putting the numbers in and using something that's voice activated. I hope that it will become more the norm and these systems are just going to keep getting better and better, as AI
yeah.
improves.
Oh my gosh, if I never have to physically type a note again,
Dude,
I
yeah.
would be a hygienist forever. I think that's like the
Yeah.
one thing where I'm like, get me out of here. I don't love doing notes at the end of the day and forgetting
Yeah.
things and being like, who did I say what to? And looking at my sticky notes. And anyway, so yeah, voice, I'm super excited for voice to keep
Yeah.
growing and just listening to my day and writing all my notes for me. That would be so awesome.
Yeah, I mean, just
And I know they
imagine
do that.
if you could just do a voice note, into the mic so that you remember to like chart it later when you're actually sitting down to do it. Like, yeah, because there's so many things that I feel like I'm gonna forget and I have to write down and then I have all these random sticky notes at the end of the day that are all over the place.
Yeah. Oh no, totally. You should see my pad the other day. I'm like, this is gross.
You're like, don't look.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we close out here, you have mentioned burnout a few times. And so that just makes me curious. Like, what have you found? Because I feel like everyone's going to experience it at some point. What have you found that's really helped you get out of that?
Yeah. I think it's not if, but it's a when.
Yeah.
Especially in hygiene. I mean, I can only speak from hygiene because that's my life, but we do a lot of repetitive. We do a lot of the same things, and we work with the same people. So it can definitely sneak up on us real quick. But
Yeah.
variety with that, because we are doing a lot of same things, variety is really helpful. So again, kind of looking outside your repertoire, see if there's other things. If you could do clinical hygiene a couple days a week, and if you can swing it, maybe do X, Y, and Z on other days of the week, just to kind of mix it up, not only for your mind but for your body. That can really help with this thing of burnout. I personally have found, again, having a great network, just even like online, even like on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, which is actually kind of interesting because LinkedIn is like the one place that I've had the most like bullying, I guess you could say, like negative things.
Hmm.
But just having a connection, maybe even online, if you feel like you're the only hygienist in your town or you don't have time to like hang out. Like the last thing I want to do after an 8 hour, 10 hour clinical day is like go talk to more people. So
Yeah.
having even online some kind of little community to just connect with is really helpful to kind of push through those weird times. And then again, those relationships, who knows what they're going to lead to eventually. It might lead you to a different job, it might lead you, to a different volunteer opportunity, or like even like little things like that. If you have the capacity or if you feel okay with it, I think volunteering outside of dentistry is helpful. Like I'm on my city's historical society board, which is so weird, but it's just kind of fun to like meet different people and like learn about history, and something completely outside of dentistry makes dentistry a little bit more fun. So the variety is very helpful for burnout, that I have found personally.
Yeah, I agree. I post about it sometimes and I know I've mentioned it to you, but baking, I enjoy it and it's fun, but I do feel like it has, I don't know, cured my periods of burnout because when I'm baking, I'm not thinking about work, I'm not thinking about teeth or dentistry, I'm thinking about that because I'm actually trying to learn it. So even just picking up a hobby or two, it sounds so like stupid simple, but it really does do wonders for you.
Yeah. And it's hard sometimes, as caregivers, we're like so busy
Yeah.
all day, and like thinking of doing something else feels a lot overwhelming. But I've noticed a big change when I don't go home and just like watch my favorite shows, which I do love. There is a point for that. But if that's all I do outside of dentistry, my mind is just feeling lots of feels. So yeah, like
Yeah.
you said, a little hobby or something outside of dentistry is really, really helpful.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time again. Do you have any like final words for new grads before we say bye?
I just think you're in a great profession. It's a great time to be part of it, even though you're going to feel and hear lots of things, maybe good, maybe bad. I'm really excited for the and hopeful for the changes that we're going to see over the next couple of years and see hygienists in different areas. So keep advocating for yourself, keep advocating for your profession, really kind of push the boundaries, maybe even a little bit to help other communities. As a hygienist, I can see hygienists in so many great places, not just I shouldn't say just because the opportunity is so important. We need people there, but we can see hygienists, in many different aspects and helping in many different healthcare parts. And you, as a new grad, are probably going to be doing that. So I'm very excited for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Melia. And I will put your contact information and Hygiene Edge's information down in the show notes so it's easy for everyone to find you. But thank you again for your time.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we will see you next time. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Straight Up with Steph and being interested in living better. What many listeners do is subscribe to the podcast because that allows them to automatically get the latest episodes of the show. Remember, you are the best person to take care of you, and by learning what we talk about on this show, you're taking one more step to being a healthier and happier you. I'll talk to you soon.